So you join me over in my syndicate. It's mid-July and I've done 6 nights on here this year. So not quite as much as I anticipated, but you know, work's been busy, lou's been exactly the same, trying to fit fishing in where we can, but just really struggling to find time in general, to be honest. Anyway, over here now. It's about 7:30, got a couple of hours left of light, and an initial walk round is just quite busy. You know, there's probably about 7 or 8 people fishing, and there's only probably 12 swims, so I've still got a little bit to play with, but not without jumping in right next to anyone. So that's brought me around to this little bay, somewhere I haven't fished before. As I say, I've only done 6 nights, and that was 6 different swims. There's a chop on the water. It's just come in, sort of pushing into the bay nicely, which looks pucker. I think I saw a fish just under the surface. Although I had my Polaroids on, you know, barely saw it, but it was enough for me to go on. So I'm going to come around here now. I'm going to keep super quiet because it's been left, from what I gather from talking to a couple of anglers now, it's been left for the last few days. No one's been fishing in here. There's been people either side, but no one's actually fished in this swim. So I'm not going to mess about. I'm going to try and find a couple of tiny little spots, a tiny little bit of bait, it's really lightly, and see what I can find. So as I said, I've never fished this swim before, never even cast a lead in it. So to keep the disturbance down to an absolute minimum, try to be as quiet as I possibly can, because I think there are fish in here. I don't want to lose them. I'm using one of my old little 9-foot stalking rods. Just really nice and lightweight. 2-pound test curve, a little 3/4 of an ounce lead there. Just minimal disturbance to try and find out just how deep it is, if there's any weed, anything like that. I don't want to know everything. I just need to know if I can present a bait and get the fish back if I get a take. So. Simples, quietly. So I've been here for getting on around about 2 hours now. I've finally got all the rods out. I think I'm quite confident how I've got them out. I've got them out quite quickly, but with minimal disturbance. I found some quite cool little spots. About sort of 15 yards out from here, there's what feels like an old dying weed bed or something. Up to that point, it's really shallow. I wouldn't even say 2 foot sort of thing. But beyond that, it drops off a little bit deeper, probably about 3.5 foot, which is where I've got 2 rods. And to be quite honest with you, this is the only time I've actually been over here and felt quite confident of a bite. I've now seen fish show, a little bit long for me. I'm tucked in a bay, and someone to my left just fishing across, so sort of cut me off a little bit, but doesn't seem to have stopped the fish coming in here. I could say I've probably seen 10 shows this evening, say since I've been here, and that is 10 more fish than I've seen show every single time I fished here. So yeah, confidence is there, baits are there, rigs are there, fish are here. I've got to try and make it happen now. So, it's the morning after the night before. I must be honest, it looked promising last night. They were clearly fish in front of me that continued to stay here for the majority of the night. But unfortunately, no joy. I really did feel confident. As I say, it's the first time I've fished here where I've had fish on me. I feel like I've been fishing effectively, and I've just been confident for a bite, but for whatever reason it didn't happen. But this morning, sort of sitting here in anticipation, and out of nowhere, probably around the number of 50 geese have just turned up, made a lot of disturbance,
but there are still fish here. I've still seen a couple of fish poke their heads out, and it's enough for me to just sort of sit on my hands, leave my rods out, and just, you know, watch the geese drift over my spots, to be honest. I don't feel like at the moment there's a lot that I can do in this swim to try and produce a bite. It's about 6:30 now. I've already been up, had a coffee, walked up and down the bank, and with the amount of people that are fishing elsewhere, there's not really anywhere I would move to for my last few hours of the morning. I've been looking at the weather. The wind has turned ever so slightly. It's still trickling into the bay, not quite as strong as it was yesterday, but you know, enough to still look bang on, in all honesty. It's also due quite a bit of sun to pop out around about 9 o'clock, which is only going to aid me really, with all the fish potentially turning up again like they were last night. Would be nice, but you know, only time's going to tell, and at this moment in time I'm quite happy where I am, so I'll give it a few more hours now. I'm going to pull off about 11 o'clock and get into work and finish doing what I've got to do for the rest of today, and with the intention of maybe popping down either tomorrow night after work again, or Friday night. It's now Tuesday, so no, it's now Wednesday, sorry, so yeah, we shall see. Right, so I've just seen one show, still in the bay. I'm fishing just that little bit longer. I was fishing quite close in last night, no more than about 15 to 20 yards, and that's sort of where the fish were, but I seem to have moved out a little bit more now. As I said, I've just seen one, so I brought my rod in, but whilst I've got the rod in, I might as well quickly show you. Really simple helicopter setup, as it is quite silty out there. Tiny little KD rig with a Wofte, just coupled with a tiny little PVA bag with the tag end a little bit longer, so I could just wrap it around the hair of the KD rig, hold it all in place for the cast. So yeah, nothing too mad, real simple, but I know the fish could be quite wary in here, so I've opted for something like a little Wofte, so it's just as natural as I can get it. I didn't really want to fish a big blatant pop up in front of them. Just keep it nice and simple, really down low. Just got to get a carp now. So, last time we spoke was the end of my last session, which was the night before last. A really sort of disappointing session, to be quite honest with you. I really thought it was going to happen. There was certainly fish in front of me, and anyway, you've heard all that already, but it wasn't quite how I expected that last session to pan out, especially when I sort of set myself for the night ahead. So I left that morning slightly disheartened, went to work for the day, did what I needed to do, but all day I was thinking about getting back down here, and I did. So last night, quite late, it was just getting dark, so I didn't get any footage of setting up or anything, and just sort of did what I needed to do, took my time, get my rods out, but I couldn't get any bait out until at least sort of 25 minutes, half an hour into dark, because the bird life on here is something I've never experienced before. As I briefly said in my last session, I had no less than 50 geese turn up into my swim and just annihilate the whole area that I was fishing, basically. And I had a similar sort of thing last night. I tried putting just a few boilies around each rod, only fishing shallow water, reasonably close in, and yeah, the mallard ducks this time didn't plead any mercy whatsoever. But you know, eventually did get the bait out, and I'm happy to say, first light I was rewarded with a carp. Not one of the biggest, but first carp from Fryerning, and certainly one that I've worked hard for. So let's have a little look at that one. So there we go, my first frying carp. We all know the old cliche, far from the biggest, but yeah, what an incredible fish it is. Mad to think they go to nearly 2.5 times the size of this in here. But yeah, just for the record, just shy of 22 pound, but it doesn't really matter. It's my first blood, and I'm absolutely over the moon. Can't wait to get to amongst some of the bigger ones in here. So yeah, as you just saw, finally managed to bag the first blood from the new syndicate. It's not been easy, far from it in fact. It's proved hard enough to try and find the carp, let alone actually being able to fish for them, if someone else isn't already, and you know, catching one's a different story altogether. But yeah, chuffed nonetheless. It's a massive weight off your shoulders, as you know, from you know, first fish from a new lake. I've tried so many different ways to fish for them. Although I haven't done a lot of time, I've been all over the lake trying to fish different swims, familiarise myself with the lake, and you know, trying different methods, different baits. But last night I went a little bit different, something I usually do. Opted for washed out baits. Started washing them through in the morning, put a tiny little bit of hemp oil in with them as well, so although I'm putting washed out baits in, hopefully throughout the day they would have soaked in a little bit of the oil and give it a little bit of a slick throughout the night, well, but still looking like an old bait. So yeah, and it worked. Again, a hook bait was something I wouldn't usually use. My confidence is well high in pop-ups. For a long time I've used pop-ups. Everywhere this season, so far this year, I've fished pop-ups and haven't really got to a point where I wanted to change because I haven't needed to. But I actually opted for a Wofte, a tiny little 15mm Wofte on a KD rig. And that's what works. So again, absolutely chuffed with it, to be honest. But unfortunately, do have to get after work now. It's now about 7:30. It's been a couple of hours since I had the fish, and time to get the rods in, get to work, and yeah, crack on. Until next time, thank you very much. Right, so I'm just about to head off to work, but I've still got a little bit of bait with me. It's going to be ruined by the next time I get here. So what I'm going to do, just to the right of the swim I was just in, there's like a really small little swim. I've never seen a single person fish it. I've been here 7 or 8 times now. I've never seen rods out in this swim. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to find a little spot reasonably close in, similar sort of range as I was fishing next door, and just put the rest of my bait in. Really, I've probably got a couple of kilo, a bit of pellet, bit of particle, and a kilo and a half of boilie. So I'm just going to spread that along a nice little area, sort of big enough for 2 rods. And if I do get a chance to come down here in 2 or 3 nights time, which I don't know, if I do, and you know, I don't fancy anywhere else, or it's busy for whatever reason, it's going to be around about the sort of weekend, then I do have an option for somewhere I have put bait in previously in a similar sort of area that I've just caught from. So I'm going to do that now. Well, I wasn't expecting to get down here quite as soon as this, but here I am, 3rd night on the bounce. It's the same as yesterday really. I was at work thinking about it constantly, when I can next get down. I didn't really have an excuse as to why to not go tonight. So I'm doing it. I'm in that swim that I put some bait in this morning. It seemed like a logical explanation really. On the back of the wind, exactly the same conditions as yesterday. It looks bang on. The birds are still here, so I'm fully expecting the same sort of issues as yesterday. You know, wait for pretty much darkness to put baits out and rigs in. But I'm happy with that. You know, the take came at first light this morning, about 4:30, 5 o'clock, and yeah, that will suit me quite nicely. but for the time being, it's about, I don't know, 7:30, 8 o'clock now. Got about an hour and a half of light left. Just behind me are 2 other lakes that are on the complex, so it'd be rude not to have a little go, a bit of floater fishing for them for the next couple, well, at least another hour or so, then have some dinner, get the rods out and see what the night brings. I'm sitting here quietly confident, but it's fishing and anything can happen, so I will update you as soon as I can, and yeah, fingers crossed.
See, it's quite a lot of birds. Now my catapult down. Challenge accepted. Great bit of sport just before a night's fishing. About half an hour or so left on here now until I wind it in, start getting ready for the other lake. But yeah, rather be doing that for half an hour instead of waiting for it to get dark. So yeah, brilliant. Happy days. Because I don't really have much of a choice with the catapult thing now. I've spun me out, and it's actually worked in my favour, because if I can keep the line out there or spawn past it afterwards, it's keeping the ducks out of the way. So although I'm only putting, I don't know, 7 or 8 baits in at a time, it's enough to bring the fish in, but they're keeping the line out there from the spawn, it's keeping the birds away. I love floater fishing. There we go. Not my preferred strain of our beautiful mirror carp, but on an evening like this, it gave up a hell of a fight. So more than welcome. I think it's getting close to that time now. Stop messing about with this and spin the rods out for the evening. Morning. Quite an uneventful night. It did pass quickly, apart from all the birds keeping me up for countless hours. Fish activity was next to none. I didn't hear a single carp last night. I didn't see anything. I was sitting up till quite late. As I say, I didn't get my rods out till well into darkness, and sort of sat there watching while I ate my dinner and stuff. But yeah, nah, didn't see anything last night at all. It's now about 8 o'clock. I overslept a little bit because, as I say, I was getting kept up all night by the birds, and a third overnighter on a bounce with work in between. Needed a little bit of a lay-in. So yeah, I'm off to work now. It's going to be a little while till I next get back down here. So at least a week now. I might get lucky and have a random session I can come up and, you know, have a go, but I doubt it, to be honest. I've got a busy week coming up. Lou's back to work early next week, so
have a good sort of good couple of days catching up, and then all of a sudden it'll be tail end next week. And yeah, I don't know, we'll see. If I get a chance to come up here, then brilliant. If not, then it is what it is. So until then, peace.
Whilst packing up that final morning, already being late for work, out of absolutely nowhere, my middle rod dropped back and I was rewarded with a small but very cool common. Probably no bigger than a mid-double, but to me, this looked like an offspring of the queen of the pond, the Mommon.